Hello students. In our last class we have discussed about various types of bonds. So today we'll be discussing about the metallic bond. In general you can define metallic bond as the bond which is present between the metal atoms. So before going to the actual definition of metallic bond, you have to know few things. That is, if you are considering a metal crystal or if you take a piece of metal, that piece of metal will consist of many number of metal atoms in it. For example, if you are considering a crystal of iron or a piece of iron metal, that iron metal consists of many number of identical iron atoms in it. Now let us study about the metallic bond in detail by using a model called as electron C model. According to electron C model, it says that if you consider a metal crystal, here I am taking a piece of metal or a metal crystal. According to electron C model, it says that a metal crystal or a piece of metal, it consists of positively charged metal ions which are closely packed. And these positively charged metal ions, they are surrounded by large number of, or you can say they are surrounded by sea of valence electrons. And if you consider the valence electron here, any one of the valence electron, it is not confined to one particular metal ion, but it is in contact or it is in interaction with the surrounding metal ions. Here also the same thing applies for all the valence electrons which are present inside the lattice. That is, each valence electron will be in contact with all the positive metal ions which are surrounding it. So what does electron C model says is, if you consider a metal crystal, there is close package of positively charged metal ions, and these positively charged metal ions are surrounded by sea of valence electrons. And these valence electrons, they are not confined to one particular positive metal ion, but they are free to move around the lattice. So, according to electron C model, you can define metallic bond as the electrostatic force of attraction that holds metal ions and valence electrons in a metal crystal is called as metallic bond. See, look at the diagram here. The electrostatic force of attraction between the positive metal ion and the negative valence electron. This attraction, you are calling that as electrostatic force of attraction. This is because the attraction or the force is between the positive and negative charges. So such type of attractions or forces you call as electrostatic forces of attraction. So here metallic bond also is a electrostatic force of attraction in which the positive metal ion and the negative valence electrons are getting attracted, and these metal atoms are held together with the force of attraction, and that force you call it as metallic bond. This is the definition of metallic bond. And due to the presence of valence electron which are freely moving around the lattice, the metals are exhibiting few properties. Now let us study what are the few properties which are exhibited by the metals. The first point is that the metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. I think you all know this property. Since there is availability of free electrons in the metal, it shows or it exhibits electrical conductivity property. And the second point is metals are malleable and ductile in nature. What is the meaning of malleability is this can be drawn into sheets. Ductility is nothing but the metal can be drawn in the form of wires. By some physical method, the metals can be drawn in the form of sheets that you call as malleability, and the metal can be drawn in the form of wires that you call as ductility. The third point or the third property is the metals are lustrous in nature. That is, they are having the shining property. The last one is metals are having low ionization energy value and hence they readily lose the electron. I think this one we have already discussed while explaining the definition of ionic bond. That is, metals will be having low ionization energy, so metals will be always ready to lose the electron. Now let us move on to the next concept, that is band theory of metals. This band theory of metal is based on molecular orbital approach. By using molecular orbital approach, you are defining the conductors, insulators and semiconductors. So according to molecular orbital theory, this I had already taught you in the class. According to molecular orbital theory, it says that number of atomic orbitals overlapping is equal to number of molecular orbitals are formed. For example, if two atomic orbitals are overlapping, the same two number of molecular orbitals are formed. Now here in general I am taking lithium metal as the example, and this lithium metal, it consists of many number of lithium metal atoms in it. Now in this lithium metal I am just considering two molecules of lithium, that is Li2 molecule, and let me show the molecular orbital diagram for this. Here in Li2 you have two lithium atoms. What is the atomic number of lithium? It's 3. So 1s2, 2s1. For this lithium atom also the same configuration, 1s2 and 2s1. Now here for writing the molecular orbital diagram, I am considering only the outer shells. That is, I am taking just 2s1 orbitals or shells. Now write down the molecular orbital diagram for this. You have 2s of one lithium atom and one more 2s or atomic orbital of other lithium atom. So these are the two atomic orbitals of two lithium atoms. Now each 2s orbital is having one electron. So fill it. One electron in 2s orbital and one electron in 2s orbital. These two atomic orbitals of two lithium atoms are overlapping, and this gives two molecular orbitals. The one with the lower energy is called as bonding molecular orbital, and the other molecular orbital with higher energy is called as anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now how many electrons you have in total? Count it. 1, 2. So totally you have 2 electrons. So you already know, according to molecular orbital theory, the electrons always occupies the lower energy level first. So bonding molecular orbital is the lower energy state. So both the electrons will occupy in bonding molecular orbital. Now similarly, let me take Li3 molecule. This consists of 3 lithium atoms. Means here you have 3 2s atomic orbitals. Let me directly show the overlapping of 3 2s atomic orbitals. Since you have 3 lithium atoms, each lithium atom will be having one 2s orbital, atomic orbital. So you have 3 lithium atoms, so you have to show 3 2s orbitals overlapping. So each 2s orbital contains one electron, and these three atomic orbitals are overlapping. This results in formation of 3 molecular orbitals. This is bonding molecular orbital, and this one is non-bonding molecular orbital, and the one with higher energy is called as anti-bonding molecular orbital. Now totally how many electrons you have? 1, 2 and 3. Now start filling. Here 2 electrons will occupy, only 1 electron left, and that occupies in the non-bonding molecular orbital. Now I already told you in lithium metal it consists of many number of lithium atoms in it. Many number of, or you can say n number of lithium atoms. So as you wrote for Li3 molecule, you can just follow for Lin, means n number of lithium atoms. How many how many 2s orbitals will be there here? N number of 2s orbitals. That is, in Lin, n number of 2s orbitals are overlapping to form n number of molecular orbitals. Let me show like this. You have 2s. You have to repeat like this. Dotted line represents n number of 2s atomic orbitals are there in between these two 2s orbitals. These atomic orbitals, that is n number of 2s atomic orbitals of Lin, overlap to give n number of molecular orbitals. So I have to show here n number of molecular orbitals. Here you can see there are large number of molecular orbitals formed. If you look at the spacing between each molecular orbital, it is very less. The spacing between the molecular orbitals is very less. It just looks like it is some continuous band formed. So this band you call it as energy band. Now, based on the band theory of metals, let us discuss the conductors, semiconductors and insulators. I think you all know metals are characterized by less number of valence electrons. Metals are always characterized by less number of valence electrons in it. Except few transition metals, if we consider the metals, almost all metals have maximum of 4 valence electrons in it. So in metals usually you can observe from 1 to 4 valence electrons, not more than 4 valence electrons. So obviously if there are less number of valence electrons, you will be having more number of vacant orbitals in it. Now the orbitals which containing valence electrons in it, they overlap together and that forms a band called as valence band. And the vacant orbitals which are there, these vacant orbitals overlap to form other band called as conduction band. So two types of bands are formed here by the overlapping of the valence electrons present in the metals. The orbitals which containing valence electrons will overlap to give a band called as valence band, and the orbitals, that is the vacant orbitals, will overlap to form a band called as conduction band. Let me show the diagrammatically. You have conduction band in the always in the upper portion, and in the lower portion below the conduction band you have a valence band, and this gap is nothing but forbidden zone or forbidden gap. See, always remember valence band will be below the conduction band. This is because valence band contains valence electrons. So the band is heavy because it is containing the electrons. So it always lies below the conduction band. If you consider the conduction band, it is made up of vacant orbitals. I already told you. So since the orbitals are vacant, it is lighter in nature. So it always lies in the upper portion, that is above the valence band. And the gap which is in between the valence band and conduction band, you call that gap as forbidden zone or forbidden gap. So based on the size of this forbidden zone or forbidden gap, you are able to define what are conductors, insulators and semiconductors. Coming to the first definition, that is the conductors. If you consider the conductors, the width or the forbidden zone, that is the gap between the conduction band and valence band, it is quite less. Since the gap is less, the electrons which are present in the valence band, look here, this gap in case of conductors is less, so the electrons which are present in the valence band can easily cross the gap or forbidden zone and it can enter into the conduction band. So conductors are highly conducting in nature. Coming to the insulators, here the width of forbidden zone is very large. That is, the gap between the valence band and conduction band, it is very large, so that electrons cannot enter from valence band to conduction band. Even if you are supplying some energy or if you are heating the materials, even then the electrons cannot enter from valence band to conduction band, so insulators are non-conducting in nature. Coming to the last one, that is the semiconductors. Here the width, that is the gap between the valence band and conduction band, is not too large as in the case of insulator, nor it is too less as in the case of conductors. The gap between the conduction band and valence band in case of semiconductors is in between the conductors and insulators. So, at higher temperature, what happens? If you give some energy or if you heat the material, the electrons will get energized and then they easily cross this forbidden zone and enter into the conduction band, and hence semiconductors become conductive in nature. So what is happening in case of semiconductors? The width or the gap between the conductors, between valence band and conduction band is not too large as in the case of insulators, nor it is too small as in the case of conductors. It is in between conductors and insulators. So electrons by itself, it cannot cross the forbidden gap. Electrons by itself cannot cross from valence band to conduction band, but what you have to do is, if you supply some energy, if you heat the material, then the electrons which are present in valence band get energized and then they readily crosses the forbidden zone and enter into the conduction band. Hence semiconductors will become conducting in nature. So by this we finish the chemical bonding lesson. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask. If you have doubt about any concept, just text me. I can just make a video and send it to you in the group. Thank you.